Hello everybody, my name is Grape. I'm a VTubing dragon and welcome to my first Live2D rigging tutorial. So I rigged my whole model and every time I stream on Twitch I have a couple people asking, hey, would you be willing to make a tutorial for this kind of thing? So I guess this would be the first in a series. Not sure if I'll make more. Just let me know if you'd like more in the comments. But my model art was made by Suni. I'll share her link in the description. And if you ever have any Live2D rigging questions, feel free to stop by one of my Twitch streams, message me on Twitter, or join my Discord server. And I'll put all of those links in the description. So, alright, let's get this started. Alright, so to get started, I am making an assumption that you have a basic knowledge of Live2D in general. If you don't, feel free to check out tutorials by either Brian Sui, who's a member of Iron Vertex. They make really good work. He has a lot of really good beginner tutorials if you're interested in those. But anyways, so essentially what you're going to need is plenty of layers to work with. So you need everything separated out for the eye. So for example, I have the top lashes, top eyeline, eyeliner, bottom eye skin, eyelid, main eye reflection, eyeball, sclera, and a couple other highlights that just bounce around, right? And what you need to do is you need to set up a deformer path with those little green dots. It's the icon in the upper bar next to the glue dot. And make sure that you have your parameter turned on and activated for the piece that you want to be working with. And also, I wanted to mention that this model belongs to my good friend Azu. She is absolutely fantastic and such a sweetheart, and I would totally recommend giving her a follow. I'll put her link in the description. But what I like to do to start off is I kind of do this little inchworm wiggle. And I just wiggle, the eyepiece down until it gets to about a point where I'm happy with it. And there are ways to mirror things in Live2D, not like a true mirror, but take a screenshot, flip the screenshot, and then copy it onto the other side and just try to match up what you've done. But I just always am checking between the most recent thing that I've done and my reference, which is the other side, which is the left eye. So I start always with that main eyelid, and then once I've got it to a place that I like, I move on to the eyelashes, the upper eyelid, the kind of like the winged eyeliner bit. It's hard to see that it's winged right now underneath the hair, but later on in the video you'll see that I removed the hair so that I can have a better way of seeing what's going on. But yeah, right now I'm adding the deformer path. I like to call them the wiggly dots. That's not an official name or anything, but I do like it. So I just make sure that it's activated with the parameter, because if it's not, then it's not going to actually move with each movement you'd like it to make. So just wiggle your way down, make sure you get it all nice and tidy where you'd like it to be, and just keep rolling from there until you've done every part of the eye. But one thing I want to mention before you start working, make sure that you understand to never change the names of the default parameters. So such as IR open, IR smile, eyeball X, eyeball Y. If you change that, then the face capture programs will not recognize what you're trying to do. And you'll come to like the Live2D Discord server and be like, hey, it's not working, what's going on? But that's why it won't work. Also, so another important thing that you need to do is clip everything that's in the eye to the sclera. So basically what you'll end up doing is you go to the layer of the sclera, which is the white of the eye, and you go to the ID and you copy that. And once you've copied that, you go ahead and paste it in your eyeball layer, so that way when you close the eye, and you only have to use the sclera layer, but it takes everything with it without deforming the eye in the first place. Because something that I noticed the first time I started doing this is I tried to move every piece individually instead of just clipping the sclera layer to everything else in the eye, and it's really helpful to make sure you have everything pre-clipped so that way you create a lot less work for yourself in the future. I also wanted to mention I only started learning how to rig around last September. I just had a curiosity in trying to learn Live2D programming, and I decided, hey, you know, it would be fun if I could figure out how to do this for myself, because I was very inspired by all of the professional work that I've seen with groups such as Iron Vertex, who are absolutely amazing. If you want to see incredible Live2D rigging, then I totally recommend checking them out. They're absolutely fantastic. But basically, as you can see, what you can do is you can take the sclera and shrink it down with the motion. And I've sped up the video here because it gets pretty tedious. If you just want to watch me do this very slowly, it would take 45 minutes, and I wouldn't recommend, you know, watching a total 45-minute video on just me creating one eye animation. So I'm using lots of tools such as the paintbrush tool, which is next to the lasso. It allows you to grab individual art mesh pieces and adjust it. And whenever I do this, to make the adjustments, I usually create a new parameter on the left. So you can see in that IR open area, there's another dot at 0.4. But as I'm creating that eye closed animation, I move the sclera again, so that way it disappears. And I make sure it's even. I want to check and see my animation. And right here, you can see that the eye on the left still has a lot more motion than the eye on the right. And where this comes in is I have a technique that I like to use is once I've done the basic open and close aspect of the rigging, what I'll do is I'll go back to the IR open parameter and I'll add an extra timing dot. As you can see I'm doing right now, I added it about 0.2. And what I do is I create a very flat look of the closed eye. And what that allows me to do is it creates a very subtle bounce when the eye is opening, and that softness of the subtle bounce really adds a lot of personality, I think, to the eye opening and closing. And once again, this is all just my own personal style that I'm working with here, but it really adds that like little bit of like wiggle, like that, you know, like if you're smiling when you close your eyes really hard, your eye kind of arches up a little bit. So that's what that extra bit is for. So now I'm going into how I made the bounces for rigging. So basically what you want to do is you want to make a deformer. So if you have an eye highlight that's separated from the rest of your eye, you can make a deformer and just call it, you know, right eye highlight or left eye highlight jiggle or something like that. And you can have it bounce up and down, and you can add settings for that in physics. And I have a slide later on in the video that explains what my settings for that are. But now I'm adding physics for a little bit of a wiggle for when the eye opens and closes. So just creating that small motion. It's another detail that most people probably won't see, but I really like it. And this is the first time that I wanted to try having a little bit of an eyelash animation as well with the physics. So you can just see me selecting that deformer and just making it all nice and neat. And at this point, what I'm doing is I create a second deformer for when I close the eye. I don't know if this is the best method to do it, but I do know that it works for me. So I can say that it is useful, but essentially you'll need to make that second deformer, make sure it's big enough to reach where the eye is all the way closed. And then what you can do is you can, once the eye is closed, you can recreate that little bit of side turn here and just go through that process of creating those eyelash wigglies. I like to call them the wigglies because they just look really nice. But once again, you don't have to add these. This is just an extra step that I like to do because it adds a lot more personality to the rig, in my humble opinion. So and even if you've already done one side, it's important to go back and always be comparing the two sides because symmetry is really important when you're creating a model. Also, here is my information on how I made my physics settings for the eyelashes and the jiggles and such. So feel free to pause here if you want to ever match it up to your own stuff. And feel free, but just make sure the input is the IL open or IR open and have the type be position X and have it be 50 effective. And feel free to delete any of the other inputs, because when you open the physics menu, it creates plenty of default inputs for you, so just feel free to get rid of those and have it only be when the eye blinks. So here is the final result with the eyelashes wiggling and the eye dots moving really gently with each blink. That's how the physics ends up working. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you were able to learn just a little bit about Live2D rigging, and I hope that I'll be able to see you again soon with another tutorial. And feel free to like, subscribe, follow me, join my Discord, follow my Twitter, check out one of my streams, and yeah, I gotta say, I'm grateful for you watching.